Just do it!
What's good, YouTube? It's Dell back here in the video. Since the NBA draft was supposed to be held 2 days ago, today I'll be ranking the top prospects of the 2020 NBA draft. This year's draft will be held on October 16th due to the coronavirus pandemic. But nevertheless, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications. And without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, y'all, so I'm just going to explain to you guys how this works. So there's 5 categories: the S tier, which are the best players; the A tier, which are the second best players with the most potential, well, the second most potential; the S tier are players with the most potential, so like the top ranked prospects; and B tier, C tier, and D tier, so on and so forth. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Alright, so with the first player of this draft class is Killian Hayes, and in my opinion, Killian Hayes will be either in the S tier, which is like the best, or in the A tier. He can go in either both, but I believe I'll put him in the S tier. Yeah, he's a 6'5" combo guard from France, and I believe his game will greatly translate to the next level. He's a lefty, and we all know about lefties; they're all killers, like James Harden. He's an offensive-minded point guard who also likes to dish it out to his teammates, which is really good. This year, while playing overseas against grown men, per 36 minutes, he averaged 16.8 points per game, 4.1 rebounds, 7.8 assists, and 2.1 steals per game. Overall, he's one of the top-ranked point guards in this loaded point guard draft. And as a Knicks fan, he's a great consolation prize, and I hope that he can land on the Knicks. Now, onto the second prospect, we have Isaiah Stewart. Isaiah Stewart will either be in the C tier or B tier. But not anything higher. But yeah, I'll put him in the C tier just because of his height. He's an undersized big man, a 6'9" center, so he probably had to play the 4 position in the league. And right now, he's a projected second-round pick. However, as a freshman, he did pretty well at Washington. And per 36 minutes, he averaged 19 points, 9.8 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks per game. So yeah, he'll be a decent, solid big man in the league. Next up, we have Aaron Naismith, a 6'6" shooting guard / small forward at Vanderbilt. And in my opinion, I think Aaron Naismith is the best shooter in this draft. And as a sophomore, he really increased his draft stock this year by averaging 23.2 points, 4.9 rebounds, as well as 1.4 steals per 36 minutes this year. So yeah, the only downside to him is his age, which is he's going to be around 21 years of age entering the league. But nevertheless, his 3-and-D skills in the league is going to be really good to any contending team. And he's a projected lottery pick this year. So yeah, that's why he's in the B tier, which is around the middle. Next up, we have Ashton Hagans, the point guard, 6'3" point guard from Kentucky this year. And Ashton Hagans played pretty well. He's a really good defender on this team this year, but due to all the top prospects in this draft, I think he'll go in the D tier. Not because he's a terrible player, but once again, due to all the top point guard prospects in his loaded draft, he'll be in the D tier. Next up, we have another Kentucky standout player, Tyrese Maxey, and Tyrese Maxey is definitely in A tier. He greatly improved his draft stock playing at Madison Square Garden. I'm not sure which team he played, but he's a really solid combo guard in the league, point guard / shooting guard. The only downside to him is that he's only 6'3", which is pretty undersized for a shooting guard. But if you guys watch Donovan Mitchell is only around 6'2", 6'3", so I'm pretty sure that Tyrese Maxey will be fine. This year, he averaged 14.6 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, and 3.3 assists per game. So yeah, he needs to work on his playmaking skills, but overall, he's a solid pickup, projected lottery pick, and the best player in Kentucky this year. And the next player is, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, Onyeka Okongwu, and he's one of the top and best players in this draft. And I don't even need to say anything. He's definitely in the S tier. As a 6'9" power forward / center at USC, this year he averaged 19 points per game, 10.2 rebounds, 1.3 assists, 3.2 blocks, and 1.4 steals, all of which are averaged in 36 minutes. These are all amazing stats as a freshman big man, and similar to Bam Adebayo, his playing style, he's a lob threat. He could defend 1 through 4. Yeah, in my opinion, he's the second best big man in this draft, right behind James Wiseman. But yeah, he's definitely in the S tier. He's projected to be a top 5, top 7 pick in this upcoming draft. So yeah, one of the best players in this draft. Next up, we have one of Duke's young bright stars, Cassius Stanley. He's a 6'6" freshman, and he'll be a great shooting guard / small forward in the league. This year at Duke, he averaged 16.5 points per game, 6.4 rebounds, 1.4 assists, and 0.9 blocks per game in 36 minutes. So yeah, he's a really good player this year at Duke, but due to his size and his age, he's projected to be a second-round pick. But yeah, I hope the Knicks get him with their second-round pick, which is around the 38th pick or so. But yeah, he'll be a solid pickup in the league. So yeah, due to his weaknesses, as some people don't think that he could really shoot, I put him in the C tier because he's not one of the worst players. That's why he's not in the D tier, but he'll definitely need to work on his shooting. But in terms of athleticism, he's one of the most athletic players in his draft. Next up, we have Jahmi'us Ramsey. And I'm going to be honest, I don't really know much about him, so I think I'll put him around the C tier. He's pretty undersized for his position, combo guard, 6'4", point guard / shooting guard. But if you look at his stats this year, he only averaged about 2.6 assists per game in 36 minutes. So at the next level, as a point guard, 6'4" point guard, 2.6 assists, it ain't gonna cut it. That's why he's a late first-round pick. Next up, we have one of the smartest players in this draft from Stanford, Tyrell Terry, and he's a 6'1" point guard as a freshman. He averaged 16.2 points per game and 5 rebounds per game. As a 6'1" point guard, he averaged 5 rebounds per game per 36 minutes, which is pretty impressive. Right now, he's projected to be a late first-round pick. Next up, we have an international prospect from France, Theo Maledon, and he'll be in the D tier. Not because he's a bad player and of his stats, because his stats is pretty good, but due to being an international prospect and being compared to all the top point guards in this draft, he'll be considered in the D tier. Next up, we have LaMelo Ball. Man, I don't even need any explanation, man. He's the best player in this draft, in my opinion. The best point guard in this draft. LaMelo Ball is a 6'7" / 6'8" point guard. So yeah, he's going to be in the D tier. Nah, I'm playing. He's in the S tier. He's a 6'8" point guard. That's like a demigod right there. That's like a 2K player. So yeah, and this year he as an 18-year-old, he played overseas against grown men, and in 36 minutes he averaged 19.6 points per game, 8.7 rebounds, 7.9 assists, and 1.8 steals. That's like a triple-double right there. And as an 18-year-old doing that overseas against grown men, that's pretty impressive. And as a Knicks fan, I really hope the basketball god can bless his man. We need him on the Knicks. He's like the future point guard. Come on, man. Make it happen, LeVar Ball. Make it happen. He's the best player in the draft. Next up, we have another one of Duke's young prospects. And I'll put Vernon Carey in the C tier because right now he's projected to be an early second-round pick and a late first-round pick. The only reason is not because he's a bad player, because of his size. And this year in college basketball, he's one of the best young big men in the NCAA. He averaged 25.7 points per game, 12.7 rebounds per game, and 2.3 blocks per game in 36 minutes. But due to the modern NBA, big man needs to shoot, and he's a post-up player. But I believe he'll still be a decent big man in the league. Next up, we have the gingerbread himself, Nico Manian, and he'll be in the... I'll put him in the B tier. Not because he's a bad player, but once again, due to all the top point guard prospects, he's like on the lower side, meaning that he's probably like around top 5, top 6. But yeah, he's a pretty good player. He's one of the youngest players in this draft. This year at Arizona, he averaged 15.6 points per game and 2.8 rebounds, as well as 5.9 assists per game. So yeah, he's a pretty decent point guard in this draft. The next player is Josh Green. And Josh Green is a former teammate of Nico Manian. They both played at Arizona. He's also a freshman. And I believe that he's going to be a solid 2-guard in the league. He's a really good shooter as well as a defender, so he'll be a solid 3-and-D player in the league. He's projected to be a first-round pick. Next up, we have Isaac Okoro. And I put Isaac Okoro in the A tier because I believe that he's the best defender in this draft, perimeter defender. Isaac Okoro, coming out of high school, he wasn't really well ranked, but this year he played really well in college. He's one of the best defenders in the NCAA, and has been compared to players like Jimmy Butler and Andre Iguodala. At 6'6", a small forward, he's pretty undersized, but with his wingspan and defensive ability, I think he'll be fine in the league. Next up, we have Marcus Howard. Marcus Howard is a point guard at Marquette this year. He's pretty undersized. He's around 5'11", 175 pounds. I put him in the, let's see. This is kind of tough, but I put him in D tier. Not because he's a bad player, because he's one of the best college basketball players in the NCAA this year. But due to his size and due to other top-ranked point guards in this draft, he's going to be in a D tier. But if you were to solely base it on his performance in the NCAA, he'll definitely be the S tier. But in terms of draft prospects, he'll be in a D tier because of his size and his age. Next up, we have Cassius Winston. Similar to Marcus Howard, Cassius Winston is one of the best college basketball players, but due to his size and age, he's considered to be a late second-round pick and will be in a D tier as well. Next up, we have Saddiq Bey, a 6'8" small forward from Villanova, a sophomore this year. He averaged 17.1 points per game, 5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and 0.8 steals. So he's a pretty solid forward, and I believe that he'll go in the, well, in terms of this draft, he'll be in the B tier, which is relatively in the middle. Right now, he's projected to be a lottery pick. So yeah, I believe that he'll be a solid pickup in the league. Similar to Saddiq Bey from Villanova, this next player is Tyler Bey. He's also a solid 6'7" small forward from Colorado, and he's going to be one of the most solid pickups in this draft. Next up, we have a 7'1" center, a freshman from Memphis, James Wiseman, and he'll definitely be in the S tier. He's one of the best players in this draft coming out of high school. He's the #1 ranked high school prospect in this year's class. And his season was cut short, but in his time, in 36 minutes, he averaged 30.8 points per game, 16.7 rebounds per game, and 4.7 blocks per game. The only reason he might fall in this year's draft is because most of the top picking teams in this year's draft already have like an established big man, so that's why he might fall in this draft. But other than that, he's one of the best players in this draft. I think his best fit is with the Golden State Warriors because they need a big man. Next up, we have Obi Toppin, and he's without a doubt belongs in the A tier. He's arguably the best college basketball player this season, and I believe he actually won the Naismith Award for the College Basketball Player of the Year. He's 6'9" small forward / power forward, so he's pretty good for his position. But in terms of his age, he's pretty high up there at 22 years old. Once again, this prospect is like another one of those players that was not highly ranked coming out of high school, but this season as a sophomore, per 36 minutes, he averaged 22.8 points, 8.6 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 1.4 block, and 1.1 steals per game. So yeah, he's an all-around player and would definitely flourish in the league. Right now, he's currently projected to go top 5 in this year's draft. Alright, so next up we have Tyrese Halliburton, who's one of the top point guards in this draft, and I'll put him in the A tier because I believe that he's the 4th best point guard in this draft, right behind LaMelo Ball, Killian Hayes, and coming up next, Cole Anthony. He's a great two-way player, averaging around 15, 6, and 6 per 36 minutes. He also averaged 2.4 steals per game, which shows that he's one of the best two-way guards in his draft. His game reminds me of DeJounte Murray, and he's currently projected to go in the top 10. Coming up next, we have a fellow New York point guard, Cole Anthony, and I'll put him in the A tier because I believe that he's the 3rd best point guard in this draft, right behind LaMelo Ball and Killian Hayes. Although he's only 6'3", he's very athletic and one of the most athletic players in his draft. His game reminds me of Dennis Smith Jr., but with a better shot. Cole Anthony needs to work on his playmaking as well as efficiency. And this season, he averaged 19, 6, and 4 per 36 minutes, and is projected to go in the top 10. Next up, we have Devin Vassell, who I believe is going to be a steal in this draft. He's also an A tier, and is arguably the best two-way player in this draft, averaging around 16, 6, and 2 with 1 block and 2 steals per game. He's projected to be a lottery pick this year. Now, next up, we have Precious Achiuwa, and Precious Achiuwa will go in the B tier. After James Wiseman left this season, Precious took over as the best player on Memphis this year. and he's a 6'9" small forward, has power forward, so he's pretty good for his size. He's one of the best defenders in his draft, and this year he averaged around 19 points per game and 13 rebounds, along with 2 blocks and 1 steals per game. So he's one of the best two-way players in his draft as well. He reminds me of like a Rudy Gay type player with his size and his agility, but right now he's projected to go in the mid first round. Trey Jones, another one of Duke's young stars, and I believe he belongs either in the D tier or the C tier, but I'll give him benefit of the doubt and put him in C tier. Right now he's projected to be a late first round pick, standing at 6'3", and he's a sophomore, but he's one of the best perimeter defenders in college basketball this season, averaging about 2 steals per game. I think he'll become a solid backup or like a rotational point guard, just like his brother, but I don't really see any like star potential. But this season he did increase his points average to up to 16 points per game in 36 minutes since Zion and RJ left the team. Next up we have Kira Lewis Jr., 6'3" point guard from Alabama. And mark my words, this guy is going to be a steal. That's why I'm putting him in the A tier. Nobody really knows about him, but trust me, he's an underrated point guard, and he's considered one of the top point guards in his draft. In my opinion, he's probably like the 6th or 7th best point guard. And if he turns out to be the best point guard, I wouldn't be surprised. So make sure you guys stay tuned for this guy. This season, he averaged around 18 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 5 of 6, as well as 2 steals. So he's a really underrated point guard and could bloom and blossom into one of the best point guards in his draft. So who knows? But yeah, right now he's projected to go in the mid first round. Now we have Jalen Smith. Jalen Smith, in my opinion, is probably around B or C tier, but he's more so in the C tier because of his projection in the draft. Right now he's projected to go in the late first round, and I really hope that the Knicks will pick him up with their 27th pick. He's a really solid big man that can shoot the ball, which fit into modern NBA. Next up, we have another young Kentucky player, Emmanuel Quickley. But similar to Ashton Higgins, I'll put him in the D tier because he's pretty undersized for a 2 guard. And compared to other top guards in his draft, he'd be considered like the bottom. So yeah, D tier. Next up, we have RJ Hampton, a 6'5" combo guard, shooting guard slash point guard. And this season, he played overseas as a 19-year-old against grown men, and average around 15, 7, and 4, and as well as 2 steals per game in 36 minutes. He's one of the best young guards in his draft and is projected to go in the lottery. I believe that he has unlimited potential. RJ could very well turn out to be the best guard in his draft alongside Kira Lewis. So yeah, he's very underrated and people should watch out for him in the league next year. Next up we have Anthony Edwards, and he's definitely going in this S tier. Anthony Edwards is a 6'5" shooting guard from Georgia, and this season he's a 19-year-old freshman averaging around 21 points per game, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, and 2 steals per game. And in almost every mock draft, he's considered to be the best prospect, and everybody seems to have him going number 1 in this year's draft. Every draft, like last year, has has a distinct player, like Zion, but this year's draft is not really like a one specific player. But if you had to choose, then Anthony Edwards would definitely be the best player in his draft. Last but not least, we have Deni Avdija. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. He's a 6'9" small forward. He's an international player, pretty young, around 20 years old. I'll put him in the A tier because right now he's projected to go in the top 5 in the draft, and I believe that he's very underrated and is the best small forward in this year's draft. He averaged around 15 points. 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, and 1 steal. His game kind of reminds me of Luka Doncic. As a small forward, he could shoot, he could rebound, he could pass the ball, he could defend. So yeah, he could do it all. He's one of the best draft prospects or international draft prospect this year. Alright y'all, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoy my ranking of this year's top 2020 NBA draft prospects. Comment down below if you guys agree or disagree, and if so, why. Who would you place in the S tier, A tier, and so on and so forth. Please check out my other videos, and until next time, peace.